welcome to Weaving Words. I'm Eric Wordweaver Sjerven, goalie of the Ridgar folk here in East Texas. Today's story is a piece that I wrote back in 2017. This, of course, was originally written to be read, but I thought I'd give a hand at telling it today, which will kind of illustrate to those of you who have read it kind of how each telling is a little bit different and brings a different kind of life to a story. So the imagery in this particular story came to me when I was looking over the rebirth of heathenry today in modern society. I think it'll be fairly self-explanatory. So, here we go. Odin in the Charred Grove. The days had long since grown dark. Storm winds ravaged the land. Sword hilts lay beaten beneath broken blades. Wolves hungered not. Ravens ate their fill. There stood a man, an old wizened man, aged beyond his years, leaning heavily upon his spear, looking out over what was once a beautiful grove of vibrant, verdant trees. With one good eye, he peered out over the calcified remains, the hollowed husks of what he once knew to be beautiful trees rooted deep in ancient ground. It saddened him to look on it. As he walked through the forest of stone and cinder, the old man thought back to when he and his brothers had cultivated this very grove, had taken it from the flesh of Ymir itself and had shaped it, given it form, given it life, given it all the gifts that it might need to last forever. For this was Odin's greatest and most beautiful creation. But alas, time and folly had other plans. Nothing is to last forever. As Nidhogg gnawed at the roots of this verdant forest, this sacred grove, entropy set in, and what was once great began to lose its luster and lose its shine as time, oh, that fickle mistress of time, drag on. After some time, the forest hardly looked like it did before. But still, the roots were strong. It was still good and true. It was still Odin's grove. But then came the fires. Up from the south, a hot wind blew from the desert. Strong, caustic, poisoned the breath of men, turned their minds, burned their souls. As this flame raged north, it set the wood ablaze, and Surt's handiwork made short work of Odin's greatest works. And Odin could but sit and watch as the flames ravaged his beautiful grove. But Odin did not panic, for Odin is wise. Odin knows that not all things last. Nothing can last forever. So Odin seeks out Mimir. He seeks out Skjold of the Norns, and he seeks the future. He seeks the wisdom to know what he should do. For so much rides on this grove. It's from this grove that life springs forth. What should he do? And as he listened to their counsel, Odin knew at last what he must do. He knew that he must wait. Oh, he must wait. So Odin does this. Odin seeks out his tribe. He goes home to Asgard, and he spends time with his family, with his people, and he enjoys an age. Some would wonder how Odin could sit here and feast with family and friends when his greatest of handiworks lies in burning cinder and ash down on Midgard below. But Odin knows. Odin knows that ash and cinder make ground fertile, and that time would yet come for those that had the wisdom to wait. And so an age passed. But what is an age to a god but a heartbeat? A single breath of time. Then one day Thor, the thunder god, comes running up to Odin in Valhalla, and he says, Odin, the strangest thing has happened to me while I was out. I could have sworn that while I was riding through Midgard, I heard my name called from an ancient charred grove. I could not help but feel pulled towards it. What do you think, Elfather? What is this mystery? Odin smiled and chuckled to himself, said nary a word, simply gestured for Thor to follow him, for Odin knew the time had come. Odin snatched Gungnir up. He mounted Sleipnir and rode out across the skies, settled down to that familiar pocket of Midgard. All the while Thor thundering behind him in his chariot drawn by his goats, fire from his eyes, the picture of life itself. Odin could but smile at his son as they came upon the charred remains. Quickly they set about sifting through the ash and cinder. Thor was not certain what they were looking for, but Odin assured him it would not take long to find, and long it did not take. For there, just below the surface of the char and ash, the cinder, coal, just below the surface there were roots, still alive, still true. They still had power in them, a faint glow. Odin smiles to himself and says, Thor, I wish you to strike right here with your hammer. Strike through. And so Thor did. He drew back that dwarven handiwork, and mighty smiter he brought down on the roots, and Mjolnir sparked with light. Lightning crackled throughout the root system. There was charge, there was fire everywhere. The trees surged forth with a glow and a power and a shaking, and deep within that hollowed ancient grove, a thunder came out. This deep, deep rumble that grew to a great crescendo. The gods knew that's where they should go, and just as the rumble started to reach its peak, there was a great and mighty crack. And there they saw, at the heart of the grove, the oldest of the trees, shatter its stony prison and burst forth new growth, new life, new tree. There it began to glow and take on a faint aura. Thor looked to Odin and asked what they should do next, and Odin looked at him and said, "We wait." And so they waited, and what seemed like an age to men was but a second to a god. New growth sprung up from ancient root, fed by ash and cinder and fertile ground. A new grove began to grow. It did not look like the old grove. The new trees took strange and odd forms sometimes. But the roots were true. These were the same roots. These were the same roots that Odin himself had cast into the ground ages ago. This was the same grove, but a new face, a new time, a new age. Rooted deep, fed by the well of weird. The grove grew once more. New trees sprung forth every day, and raged with the fire of life, a beauty. Great new, splendid trees. It was good, and it was true, and Odin saw this. And he basked in its glory. He looked and smiled at his son and said, Thor, this here, this grove, this is our handiwork. This is the most beautiful thing on Midgard, and this shall be our home here when we come to visit. This here shall we ever be welcome, and this grove will ever remember our names. Thor and Odin rode back to Asgard. Odin looked back over the sacred grove at that central tree, and there, burning with a faint blue light, right at the heart of the tree, the glowing Yerarun cyclic return. And Odin knew the cycle had begun again. This grove would be grand, maybe even grander than the one before. Though small now, not as many trees. There will be. Its time will come, and it shall be glorious. The end. Thank you for listening to today's story. If you enjoyed what you heard, please give a like to the video and give me a subscribe on the channel. Please shoot a comment down in the comments section. The more you interact with the videos, the more they're going to show up in your feed, the more you're going to be able to see, and the more up to date you're going to stay on what I'm doing here with this channel. I also have a Facebook group called Word Weaver Productions. You can jump on there. It's an open group. Please join in, join the discussion. I like to get feedback from you guys there. I like to get ideas for where I'm going to go. And you guys let me know what does and doesn't work in the videos. The more I hear from you, the better the channel gets. So give me a holler. Let me know what you got. You might also check out my other YouTube channel, the Raven's Call. This is a show that's dedicated to more heathen-related subjects, even though a lot of my stories here on Weaving Words have a heathen root to them. That particular channel is dedicated solely to my heathen ramblings, some Heathenry 101 kind of things, stuff like that. So if you're interested, give it a look-see. In the meantime, may your stories be grand. Hail.